What's going on? What's going on, family? Welcome back. Welcome back. It's Tuesday again, and of course, I came back to hit y'all with this next and last on this particular topic on relations on the journey to oneness. So now, the journey to oneness, it's so broad that you really can't encapsulate it into just a few parts. And so, with becoming one, everything that I want to share with becoming one, it's all kind of interconnected. Some of the things that I say will be a repeat, and it's because the messaging is pretty much similar. The goal is to help to strengthen marriages, and for the two to become a one, as the scripture says, becoming one in Him. That's individually with us as a couple, and for all everything that we're connected to as husband and wife, and for those who are in relationships eventually you want to get to a point where the two can become one, and then you'll be on the road to becoming one in your journey to oneness. And so, see, it all kind of interrelates. You just can't escape doing relationships or marriage and not think about the subject matter of oneness, unity. The acronym that I like to use called GLUE, which is guiding light and unifying expression. And then in some other things, when I talk about when you've had challenges emotionally, spiritually, that to be better, you want to heal better so that you can live better, so that you can love better. It's all interrelated. There's nothing new under the sun. I'm not saying anything that's different from what somebody else is saying. I'm just a different voice. And so I feel like God has given me something to say, and I'm sharing it because I want to add value to your relationship. I want your relationship to be a great one. I want y'all to win. So let's get right into this. Tonight we're going to talk about relationship marathon, right? So you see, I got on my gear. I actually went for a good walk today. I didn't run, but I did my little workout today. And so in your relationship, you do need to be prepared to like maybe hit some miles, whether you're running, driving, flying. There is going to be mileage that's going to happen to your marriage. And so here's the thing, just because you got mileage in your marriage doesn't mean that you're devalued. So in marriage, as you go further in your marriage, you actually gain mileage and you actually appreciate in value versus a car that depreciates in value. So now, I think that when it comes to people who are married, the longer that you're married, the more value. I mean, like for all of us that have looked at our wives and she came out with that particular dress on, and you just like, boy, girl, you look like some fine wine, because she is. Your wife is fine wine. She's getting better with time. Yeah, she may got a little wrinkle. She may got a little cellulite, but if you need her, then you will need her. Some of y'all picked it up. You gotta need her because you need her. So anyway, but yeah, this whole thing about your relationship, and speaking in the area of talking about a marathon. Um, if we look at it and liken it to a marathon, it is something that you can complete. It is something that you can actually do and do very well. It's all about preparation and how you actually take 1 mile at a time and how you journey towards the finish line. And so, for me, my thought is that when marriages should be till death do us part, not till unhappy do I leave, and that it should be from I do to well done, meaning you've died and now you're with the Lord, and He's like, yeah, good, good, son. You know what? You did life well. You represented me very well, daughter. You represented me very well. But were you perfect? No, you wasn't perfect, but you did it all the way to the end. And so now, does all marriages make it? No, but I'm not talking about that tonight. I'm talking about your marriages and me wanting your marriages to stay together forever. Ever, ever, forever, ever? Okay. Obviously, I'm in a playful mood tonight, but I don't care. I find this fun. I enjoy doing this, and this is why I keep coming back. And so, but have you heard the term? It's not a sprint. Wait a minute. Let me get it together. It's a marathon, not a sprint. And so you can take that phrase. It's not a marathon. It's a sprint. It's not a sprint. It's a marathon. Let me get my wording together. It's not a sprint. It's a marathon. I'll say it again. It's not a sprint. It's a marathon. Now, for you runners that sprint, it's a sprint. But in context of a marriage, You want to think more. You want to think more marathon versus sprint. If you are a sprint-minded person, then you're going to be divorced in 3 years, 4 years, 5 years, whatever, because you just running, and maybe you make it as first place, second place, third place, but at some point the race is going to end, and wherever you place will determine if you advance on to the next thing because you're sprinting. Now, as a couple, you guys can sprint towards goals. As a couple, you guys can sprint towards finish lines of what you guys want to accomplish together, starting a business. And maybe there's a window of time where you guys have to make decisions and it's a sprint mode. You're in a sprint, but marathon takes a lot more preparation. So there's times in your marriage where, yeah, the two of you will have to do a sprint, but you're sprinting together forward. You're not sprinting apart in opposite directions. Okay. So it is a marathon, not a sprint, but sometimes the sprints are used. But in the marathon, you're not sprinting. At the end of the marathon, as you get towards the finish line, if you see that you have some competition, then you might say, wait a minute, okay, we're gonna have to fight for this thing. And so y'all just boom, 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 boom. I mean, we just had the Olympics and we saw some people cross some finish lines with their chests forward. Did you see that? It was great. Them ladies, they was running their legs off. I would say something else, but I won't. They was running their legs off. So, but I'm proud of them. For the men and the women, they just represented. It was a great thing. They were in sprints. We talking about marathons. And so in all relationships, especially marriage, the journey from start to finish is a journey. Right. From start to finish is a journey. You don't just go, you don't just, on your mark, get set, finish. No, it's on your mark, get set, go. And as you're going, you're going to be experiencing some real situational things. Okay. And so consider a marathon runner, right? They prepare by miles. When you first start running for a marathon, I never did. My father did twice. Shout out to Marvin Richardson Sr. But he would go out and run. Like he would do 5 miles one day and then he would do 6 miles another day and he would do 10 miles and he would increase it and have a rest day. And then he would do a full 15 and then he would, it was just like the way that he did it. It was strategic because he was training his body to be prepared for the leg of the marathon. Now, for those of you who don't know, most marathons are 26 miles. The most I've ever done running is a 5K. Okay, that's about 3 miles. And so, but in your marriage, let's get back to the marathon. So when you're running, you're preparing for the miles, right? You also have to be mindful of your diet. You just can't eat anything. You can't do fast food every night. I'm not naming no names, ain't putting nobody on blast. You have to rest and recover. So when you have those long stretch days where you're doing more than what you're used to doing because you're trying to stretch the capacity in your lungs and in your physical body, you have to rest and recover so that your muscles can regain some level of rest, renewal. And then there's the other thing, you got to run in different elements. You have to learn how it's going to be. If it's going to rain outside, you may want to run in the rain. How do you run in the rain? You may have to have a cap on. You may have to get used to the water just dripping on your arms and your legs and stuff. You have to be willing to run through all of the elements because on marathon day, you don't know what you're going to encounter. Now, they hope to usually make those days where it's a day where there's a lower percentage of rain, and they look at historical times. They say, yeah, this day for the past 7 years, it didn't rain. So then they say, okay, marathon is on this day. But either way, whether it rains or not, you have to be prepared for that. You also have to build your stamina. So that's the reason why you're going from 1 mile a day, 3 miles, 5 miles, and then you just averaging 10 to 15 miles. And then some people, they actually run the whole thing and then they stop just to kind of take their body through it because they're preparing for the real race. If you're trying to win, you got to run in such a way to win the race and to win the prize. I mean, the Bible talks about run in such a way that, you're trying to win the prize. Do not all runners prepare? So you have to prepare. So the other thing is that the race itself, so there's like the first leg at the beginning, you see they go 1, 2, pow, and then the gun goes off and people just start running, right? So in marathons, some people actually sprint to kind of get ahead of people because they're trying to use a level of physical leverage to get further out so that they can get into a stride. And so whether it's the first leg or the second leg, that once you're in your second leg, you're actually just trying to stride through it. You have a momentum going. You're looking at your time. You're looking at how many miles you got to go. And you're like, okay, by mile 10, I need to have this time. By mile 12, I need to be at this time. And if I find myself pulling back or not getting it, then I got to kind of step up my strategy. I have to kind of figure out how I'm going to recover the time, right? And then in your final leg, you basically got to push to the finish. You have to push. And so at that point, your body's going to become more fatigued. At that point, you have to just think, you know what, at this point, it doesn't matter how I feel. All that matters is me getting to the finish line. That is a word for somebody. In your marriage, it doesn't matter how you feel. The goal is to get to the finish line. So you and your spouse, you are in this race together. And it doesn't matter how you feel. You know what happens in marathons? People get cramps. People get locked up. You know what I'm saying? They're like, wait a minute, my body's starting to drop. You get so tired and fatigued, you're just like, man, I can't. Some people have to actually just walk. It's like you don't want to stop because your heart is going boom, 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 boom. You don't want to stop, so you just will slow down to get to a point where you're just at least I'm walking. I would rather walk across the finish line than not even cross at all. So in certain parts of the race, your body may lock up. You may feel a cramp, and you gotta like maybe hop along for a little bit so that you can keep going. And then eventually, okay, if it seems like it's okay, and if you're really trying to win, you can't stop. You just gotta kind of try to push through or figure out a way to push through that moment. And then in moments where you're just really fatigued, there's this thing that happens in a race where they call it a second wind. So you going, you got a stride, and that stride seems to get slower and slower and slower, and you're getting tired. And so your communication with your spouse is off. The lovemaking is kind of here or there. The children, you're handling them, and you're just getting fatigued, because life be lifing. Life and marriage just be life, and work is not going so well. And then you have great moments where things are going well, and there's the excitement of the great things that's happening. Okay, we got to save money to get this house. We have to make sure that the kids, and so there's all of these different levels of activities, and it's just making you tired. And my friends, if I can just contend for your marriage for a second, for those of you who are watching, and it's kind of difficult, you're in the part of the race where you're tired and you want to give up. You're in the part of the race where you're fatigued and you're just like, I just don't have it. Like, we're at mile 12, man. This is a 26-mile race. I ain't got it. I don't know where I'm going to get it. And your mind is like, just quit, just quit, just quit, just quit. Don't quit. Don't quit. Don't quit, because your second wind is coming. Know what happens when you get that second wind? It's just like, wait a minute. Okay. So you was just like, you had no energy whatsoever. And then now all of a sudden you're just like, man, okay. Yeah. Okay. And then your stride gets a little bit longer. You're just like, yeah. And don't let it be that you're close to a finish line. You just like, okay, wait a minute. If I can just get to mile 20, then I already know what's going to happen. I'm going to kick it in. But at that point, I'm just counting it down. All right, boom. I'm at mile 24. Boom. Done. Mile 25. Boom. Done. Here we go. Last mile. What you gonna do, Marv? What you gonna do, Marv? What you gonna do? Now say to yourself, what we gonna do, honey? What we gonna do? You know what I'm saying? We doing this thing. We running this race. Let's get it. Let's get it. Let's get it. Boom. Cross the finish line. Because you got that second win, and that second win has made you decide, you know what? I ain't quitting on this marriage. You ain't getting rid of me. Psh, you like, lady, you gonna have me the rest of your life. You trying to let go of all this goodness? Really? However y'all tease each other, but you get that second one, you can look at each other and be like, man, we were made for this. Psh, you know what? King Kong ain't got nothing on me. You know what I'm saying? So y'all just decide, we gonna take this marathon, we gonna run this thing, baby. We got this all the way to the finish line. It's going from I do to well done. You know what I'm saying? The end of the marathon is well done. Once you get to the end, then you can walk it off. You can walk it off and breathe and breathe. And you're going to look at your spouse and be like, yeah, we did that thing. And she'll be like, that's right, baby. We did that thing. And then y'all can go and do that thing, later on. I'm just saying. Do it in remembrance of me. But yeah, man, just choose to plow through this all the way to the end. Choose to make it all the way to the end. You know what I'm saying? Because, when you're in a marathon, You're building stamina, and there's so many things that you are able to cover because you're covering mileage. Now, the Bible says, this scripture says, line upon line, precept upon precept. In a marathon, you go a mile upon mile, one leg after the other. That's all you got to do. Sometimes you and your spouse, all you can do is just walk forward. You ain't got to say much. Just walk. Just slow trot. How was your day? It was fine. Cool. You good? Anything you need? Well, I kind of need this. Okay, I got you. Y'all could have been beefing. You're just like, you know what? I'm just going to do this one thing for her because that's what she needs, and I love her. And even though I'm not quite feeling her right now, I'm gonna go ahead and take these clothes out of the dryer and fold them up for her real quick. And she's like, you know what? I'm tired. I really don't want to do nothing, but I know he has to go out of town, so let me go ahead and iron his clothes and make him a little sandwich so that when he gets on the plane and he opens up his bag, he'll see that I put his favorite snack in there. I'm gonna do that because I love him. You ain't gotta like it. You just gotta get to the end. Okay. Cool. So that's about it, fam. I just wanted to share that with y'all. This is, like I said, the final part of Journey to Oneness. I'm gonna talk about something different going forward. You know what I'm saying? And my goal is to help you heal better, live better, love better, and that you become one in Him with us for all, because that's what I'm here to do. I'm here to add to your marriage, add to what you guys are bringing to the table so that you can bless the world and be what God has called you to be. He told y'all supposed to be, having dominion, right? Be fruitful, multiply, and have dominion. So, family, go out there, have dominion, and I'll see you next week. God bless y'all. Good night.